Great morning, everybody. The Breakfast with the Brookses. Super excited to have everybody here. Everybody's here. Do me a favor real quick, guys. Chime in and let us know what city and what is the temperature in your city. We are in Virginia Beach, Virginia. For those of you guys who have never been to Virginia Beach, you cannot count on the weather to stay the same for any 2 days in a row. It is 70 degrees going up to 75 degrees today in Virginia Beach. Where are you tuning in from? And what's the temperature in your city? I'd like to know. Super excited to have everybody coming on. Today is going to be a good day. I don't know if you've ever struggled with forgiveness and walking through forgiveness with a spouse, maybe with a significant other, maybe with your child, and you just not been able to figure it out. Today, we're going to help you walk through how to apologize a little bit more sincerely. For those of you guys who are just jumping in, my name is Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, and this lovely young lady right here is
Sheri Brooks Jr. How you guys doing this morning?
What's going on, guys? It's good to see everybody. It's good to see everybody. So, guys, really quickly, I want you guys to begin tuning in and chiming in. Put a 1 in the chat if you really struggle or you're challenged, I should say, with forgiveness. If that's you, put a 1 in the chat. Baby, we're getting a slow start. I'm not sure who's on. I'm trying to get my chat to work right. But guys, chime in. Do me a favor. Make sure that you let us know what city you're watching us from, where you are, what the temperature is there, and then we will go from there. It's great to see everybody. So, babe, what's going on? How you feeling?
I'm good. I got a decent night's sleep last night because somebody else slept last night. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you've been keeping me up the last couple of nights when you weren't paying. Let me fix your thing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. My thing is a little crooked. You got to clarify that when you say that. You got people saying, "Wait a minute, hold it."
His thing is crooked.
His what? That's inappropriate.
His sling.
His sling. Thank you very much.
I don't know if that sounds any better. But
right. I know it. So welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses, guys. So, babe, we're gonna get started. We got a couple of people chiming in, and so wow, you okay? You wanna? You didn't get no coffee this morning? You want to sip a minute?
No coffee. No coffee. I'm good.
All right. Well, let's get started. So, how to apologize a little bit more sincerely. Sincerely.
What is the correct pronunciation?
I think it's either or. It's like tomato or tomato. Whichever one you feel comfortable with.
Good morning, Teresa.
I came across an article that was really, really dope, babe, and it really kind of helped to characterize something that I want to talk a little bit about today. For so many people, it is challenging to really create a good apology.
Right.
It's challenging, and when I say challenging, meaning it's just you just never quite get it out right. Let's adjust the table down just a little bit, the desk a little bit, just one more click maybe. There we go. There we go. Yeah, we're looking a little short. But yeah, good. Hey, Nikkei, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, guys.
Kophia, what's up? Good morning. I'm in the Midwest, and it's hot, but not too hot. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love those days where temperature's just right, but not too crazy.
Right.
But today we're going to talk about some things I think is going to help people out.
Right, and actually this month in the MAPS Relationship Academy, we're dealing with forgiveness.
Yep.
For the month of June, we're dealing with forgiveness, and it's been really interesting thus far. Just talking about people's different styles of forgiveness. I don't think a lot of people realize that you actually have a language of forgiveness, similar to those of you that have heard of the 5 love languages. There's actually a language of forgiveness.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk about something a little different. That's going to talk about how to apologize more sincerely. Oftentimes people will apologize, and it's hard for the person to receive the apology because they feel like it's not sincere.
Yeah.
Your kids are famous for this. They do something, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You tell them to apologize to their sibling because they did something, I'm sorry, but there's no sincerity in it. They just doing it out of obedience.
Right.
And unfortunately, even as adults, oftentimes we apologize simply because it's what we're supposed to do, or out of obedience, but it's not really sincere. And so we want to give you some tips on how to apologize sincerely. or apologize more sincerely, or to be able to even identify when a person is apologizing sincerely.
Right. Before we do that, it's good. I want to shout out a couple people. Good morning, Stephanie. Stephanie, you didn't tell us where you're tuning in from and what the temperature in your city is. Nikkei said Upper Marlboro is 64 degrees. Teresa is coming in from Purcellville, currently 64 degrees there in Purcellville. It is 70 degrees, I think, here in Virginia Beach, and it's supposed to go up to the mid 70s, I think. So just want to find out where you guys are tuning in from. Always great to know where people chime in from around the country, around the world even, and I'm just excited. So today, we're going to give you guys 5 easy steps on how to apologize more sincerely. Put that in the chat. 5 easy steps. If you're ready for this content, put ready in the chat. Put ready in the chat. Sheri, one last thing I want to kind of submit. When people don't get this right, oftentimes there can be this elephant in the room that really hampers the whole relationship. And so when you're going through, and I know just even in our case, a marriage where you feel like there's this thing that's happening over and over and over again, the person is saying, I'm sorry, but they're not. There's no change in the behavior.
Right.
It's like, you step on my toe, you say I'm sorry, but you do it again. It's like, bro, like at some point, what in the world is going on? Can you stop stepping on my toe? So what happens is that I think that oftentimes people get caught up with not being able to address the real issue. And one of the things that we need to let people know, and I see a lot of readies beginning to chime in, appreciate you guys for that. One of the things that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take responsibility.
Right.
That's number one. Put that in the chat. Take responsibility. To effectively apologize sincerely, you have to first take responsibility. When we talk about that, what are we talking about, babe?
Right. So when you apologize to somebody, if you say, hey, I'm sorry if what I did offended you, that's not taking responsibility. That's now me apologizing. That's really vague. I'm apologizing for hurting your feelings, but I'm not apologizing for what I did.
Right.
And so taking responsibility is more me saying, I'm sorry that, when I did A, B, C, and D, that offended you. I should not have done that. I should have handled it this way.
Yep.
I could have done things differently.
Yep.
Going a little deeper and really taking responsibility for your part in the act versus just dealing with the fact that you hurt somebody's feelings.
Correct. And I think that what that does for the other person at least lets them know that y'all are on the same page, and it's like, okay, we're trying to get to sincerity. By the way, we left the ice maker on, and it is coming down. So if y'all hear little rocks, crashes, ain't nobody knocking at the door.
I'm like, what is that?
It is our ice maker. It's pretty loud, so hopefully it won't deter too many people. But when you take responsibility, it communicates sincerity.
Right.
When I own something, when I say, you know what, yeah, that's me. I know a lot of people struggle with defensiveness. A lot of people struggle with defending their position, but you don't understand. This is what I mean. No, taking responsibility means I have no defense.
Right. Instead of saying I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
That's not apologizing.
Right.
That's not taking responsibility.
Right.
Versus saying, I like I said, going into detail, I know when I did this, it hurt you. Maybe that was not you can say that wasn't my intention, but now I see that when I did this, that did this to you, or that caused that.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, even though that wasn't, I'll try not to do that again now that I realize that causes you harm or causes you pain.
Love it. So number 2, guys, if you're ready for number 2, we're talking about 5 easy steps to apologize more sincerely. And I know, you and I, we've been married for 21 years in a row. We're working, we're at the halfway point.
Talking about numbers today. If I can just interject today.
Go ahead.
I want to make a quick shout out.
A quick shout out?
A quick shout out.
Sure.
Not that he's going to see this or he's going to be aware of it, but today is my dad's 86th birthday.
What? That's right. It is his birthday today.
My daddy will be
86 years old. Shout out to Alvin Gregory. He won't see this, but y'all shout him out.
Or anything.
That was random. You just kind of curveballed me. What made you think of that?
I was thinking about.
We talking about apology. What made you?
No, just.
You had a flamingo moment.
Yeah, I had a flamingo moment.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out where'd that come from.
I just want to send a
Not
shout
that
out.
we ain't mad. We're gonna try. We probably figure out how to. We need to send him some. You know what we need to do?
We're gonna take him a social distance gift.
We need to take him. We need to send him a social distance breakfast because your father's a French toast fanatic. That's what we do.
We could take it to him.
Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna go get him some French toast. Anyway, we digress, man. You see, that's what happens when you let your little flamingo out. It gets mine really out, so that's not good.
That's something to celebrate.
That's not good. It is something to celebrate. It is something to celebrate.
86.
So I'll let you continue when you finish. You can
no, we're
start
good
us
now.
back
We
with-
can go back.
Okay, because I don't know where we at.
You were talking about a number. I don't remember how we got
Number 2.
Number 2.
We're talking about the 5 ways to orchestrate a sincere apology. She is a mess. Number 2, guys, I want y'all to know that it is reaffirm boundaries. Put that in the chat. Reaffirm boundaries. Put that in the chat. Let me tell you the challenge behind most boundaries. We were just I just was on a coaching call this past week, and one of the things that I recognize is that this person's boundaries had been broken down and they were never reaffirmed. And so when there was an offense in the room, the person took responsibility for it, but the challenge is that they never re-erected or reaffirmed a boundary, meaning the person who was offended.
Right.
So I'll give you an example, and we're going to go deep right here for a quick second. In marriages, in coupled relationships, oftentimes there are acts of infidelity. It's unfortunate, but it happens regularly. As a matter of fact, it happens more than most would care to admit. Now, when I'm talking about infidelity, I'm not necessarily talking about just the act of the sexual infidelity. I'm talking about emotionally and stepping out and just, being distant. Here's the deal. When someone is caught in an offense like that, or when it's discovered that this person has, quote, stepped out on you, oftentimes the conversation goes, if the person was caught in it, it's like, oh my God, how could you do this to me? And then you begin to personalize it. You catch the other person in the act, or you hear about it, and it's, how in the world could you do this to me? The reciprocal of that, or what you get back from that person generally is, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have did this, that, and the third. And I mean, there's a myriad of responses you can get. I'm just going to go with this one for now. But if the response is, I'm sorry, I did, I was tripping, this didn't mean nothing, all that, especially in my single people's lives, that's how that one goes.
Right.
You really the one, this, that, and I mean,
that whole
thing.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. You say, I'm sorry, you say, no problem, we'll get past this.
We'll get past it.
We'll work this out. But you never reaffirm a boundary.
Right. And so what reaffirming boundaries in that situation is, so now that you've stepped out, you've violated my trust, you have to regain my trust. So in order to gain my trust, there are certain boundaries. This is one of the things that burns me up. And I'm going to be very
Here we go.
honest. When an individual...
We're not talking about celebrating her father today right now. I promise you that. It's getting ready to go down.
When an individual commits infidelity, sexual infidelity in a relationship.
Yeah.
If my partner has stepped out on me sexually, the first boundary I'm putting up is we're not having intimate relations for a period of time. Number one, for health reasons.
You need to quarantine that text.
Because I need to make sure that you good. Because you've now shared fluids with another person.
Ooh, that's nasty. That's just nasty the way you even said that. Ew.
But what burns me up is that individuals will find out their spouse has stepped out on them. They apologize. Okay, we're going to work through this.
Yeah.
And then they sleep with them the next day or
Right.
a week later. What the heck are you doing?
Right.
It's like you have not... And let me tell you something, ladies. Do I
need to step out for this?
No. For a man... If you sleep with him after he has violated that, you have told him that it's okay for him to do that.
Please say that again.
If you sleep with him after you found out that he has had an affair, a physical affair, and then you find out, y'all cry, y'all cuss each other out.
Whatever you do.
If
praying is your thing, you didn't talk to
whatever
Jesus.
You do that.
Whatever that is.
And then in a short amount of time, you're now being physically intimate with him. Number one, you're telling him, it's okay, we've moved past that. I'm over it.
Yeah.
We good.
Yeah.
And it's also telling him that, well, if I do that, there's no real consequence. Because things going to go back to normal.
Absolutely.
That should not be the case.
Absolutely.
Like I said, the number one reason is for health reasons. You need to make sure that he's fine, have him go through the period of time he needs to go get checked, whatever that period of time is, to make sure that he good, that he ain't sharing no gifts with you.
Gifts.
He ain't giving you no gifts.
That's a whole different.
And this is coming from personal experience. I received a gift.
And that wasn't a gift. That kept on giving.
Right, it wasn't a good gift. But so I learned this myself. But so putting up a boundary, number one, you have to put something in place that now holds that person accountable.
Absolutely.
So if they were having an emotional affair, it's now you having access to their cell phone, to their email.
Please say it, babe.
You have all their passwords, so you can check on.
Tori said, preach.
You can go in and check and see where they are. Make sure they're not having conversations they're not supposed to be engaged in.
Right.
It's them having to check in with you.
Absolutely.
You leaving. I'm leaving work on my way home now.
I'll be home in 15 minutes.
And they home in 15 minutes.
And if they stop at the 7-Eleven,
they need to call and tell you, hey, I'm making
I had
a
to
stop
stop for some
way.
gas.
Right.
I'm going to be home in another 10. It's going to take me another 10 minutes. That's what.
There's a level of accountability
Absolutely.
that you have to put in place by putting boundaries. But what often happens is that we just say, okay, I'll forgive you. We're going to move past. There are no boundaries in place. And then therefore, in reality, the person never learns, because if there are no consequences from your actions, people do not learn from their behavior.
Correct.
And so unless boundaries are put in place so that they realize, hey, this needs to be, for lack of better terms, it needs to be somewhat painful for them.
It absolutely has to be painful.
To get over what they've done because they've caused you pain.
So again, I just want to,
and not in a mean way. I don't mean that in a mean way.
I want to just underscore this before we move on. We're talking about, for those that just jumped in the room, we're talking about the 5 things that you can do, 5 easy steps to get to how to make a sincere apology. Number 1, we said was take responsibility. Number 2 was what Sheri was just talking about, reaffirm boundaries. The last thing I want to say about that, guys, remember, boundaries are fundamentally designed for 2 reasons. Number 1, they protect, and number 2, they provide.
Yes.
When I say protect, they protect you from all the toxic things that can come to you, and then they provide freedom, or they provide an ability for you to be able to move about in a safe space. And unfortunately, what happens is that if we're talking about infidelity, the safe space is never reestablished.
Right.
And so because of that, you can't be free to be you, and that means you shouldn't be free to be having sex like that. That means you shouldn't be free to move on, because if you're dealing with most men, I promise you, if you begin to move on too quickly, here's what you've done. You have reinforced that negative behavior.
Right.
And the problem with that is that it's going to continue over and over and over again, and you have yourself to thank for not reinforcing a boundary. Now, let me finish. When I say yourself to thank, in other words, yes, he has a part to play, but you best believe you have control. You best believe that you have, and this is whether it's him or her, you have a say. I have a say as to how you can reinfect me or re-affect me. Does that make sense, guys? And so I want y'all to really get that, because at the end of the day, a lot of people just kind of feel like, quite frankly, I'm at the whim and the mercy of whatever this person does or doesn't do. And that's not true, especially where boundaries involved.
Right. And I think the thing you have to remember is that we teach people how to treat us.
Absolutely.
And that even if it's not infidelity, if somebody violates your trust in the relationship, whatever it is, there needs to be some boundaries put in place. If it was financial, they went out and spent some money, or they did something, there needs to be boundaries in place. Okay, now I get to hold all of the credit cards. You don't have access to the accounts. Whatever it is, but there needs to be some boundaries put in place. And what we do is, when we don't put those boundaries in place, we're subconsciously telling that person it's okay for you to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was upset, I was bothered, but it's okay. You can walk all over me.
Right. Absolutely.
It's okay.
Absolutely, guys.
I'm gonna get over it.
Guys, if this is making sense, put "make sense" in the chat. If this is making sense, put "make sense" in the chat. I need to know that you guys are there, because I want this to be interactive. I want to know we're resonating with you. We're talking about the 5 things that 5 easy steps actually to getting to how to apologize a little bit more sincerely. And we talked about number 1 being taking responsibility. Number 2 is reaffirm boundaries. If you're ready for number 3, put a number 3 in the chat. If you're ready for number 3, put a number 3 in the chat. Babe, I think that when we look at some of the people we get to coach, and by the way, guys, if you are not a part of the MAPS Relationship Academy, we certainly want to invite you to become a part of that. Just simply go to www.glennpbrooksjr.com and sign up for a free discovery session. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, click free discovery session, sign up for it so that we can get in a room with you and figure out if that's a match for you. What we do there is we work with couples, we work with parents, we work with singles on these issues, and our goal really is to help them navigate their relationships intentionally and grow them. So that's where we unpack this. We're working on forgiveness all month long, and we're going real deep on people's specific situations, and that's a place you want to be if you want to get your personal stuff worked on. Number 3 is own up to your part, not theirs. Own up to your part, not theirs. This is critical, Sheri. I can't tell you how many people I've dealt with that they want to own up to what I'm doing, but not necessarily what they're doing.
Right. They want to point out what the other person did that caused them to do what they did.
Please say that.
They want to blame the other person versus in every relationship, it's very rarely all one person's fault for whatever's going on in the relationship. If I played 1%, if there was 1% that I'm responsible for, I have to take responsibility for my 1%. And so what happens oftentimes when you're apologizing, it's easy for me to point to, yeah, I did that, but, well, when you did, that made me feel this way, and that's why I did this.
Right.
That's not owning up to your part.
And that's not a sincere apology.
Right. Focus on what my part was. I keyed your car because I was mad.
Not keyed the car. You keyed my car because you thought I was talking to that girl that I stepped out with on you last year, and so
right. I was mad. I was having an emotional moment.
But if I had not stepped out from the beginning,
and I keyed your car, and I was wrong, I should not have done that, and I apologize.
Oh my God!
I should.
I just thought. Remember that song? I bust your windows
out your car.
I'm saying, oh my God, she busted windows. No, Sheri, that is so key.
Right.
Because people will quickly say, the reason I did this was because you did that.
Mm-hmm. I came home late from work today because I was pissed off because yesterday when I asked you to do this, you didn't do it. So I said, F it, and I'm going to just do my own thing today.
Y'all, Sheri ain't saved today. She said she done went back to Sheri. Y'all don't want to know who Sheri was. People mistakenly call her Sheri. I'm like, no. You don't want Sheri
to come back.
Can you pull my sleeve down a little bit? It's kind of getting jacked up. My other arm won't work. Thank you, babe. So anyway, guys, own up to your part, not theirs. I like to say, what is the grain of truth in it?
Right.
Here's the deal. I can say to you, no, babe, I totally apologize because I shouldn't have done this, and this. I am owning my part. I am not going to own your part.
Right.
I am not going to talk about your part. I'm not going to even engage. I'm just going to. And that's the way. Y'all want to make an argument go away really quickly? Own your part and don't get defensive. Mm-hmm. Y'all hear me? Mm-hmm. Own your part. Look, Kofi talking about jazz.
Yeah, that's the song. That's the singer. The song.
How about you? Kofi, don't get me started. She already stepped off the save train. So listen, we need to get back to Jesus because we get ready to go. This is bad. But anyway, the point I'm making, guys, I want y'all to understand the importance of just owning your part, leaving theirs alone. Because here's the deal: if you're going to form an effective, sincere apology, what they did is irrelevant.
Right.
And let me tell you what I mean by that. It doesn't mean that it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But you're the one that's apologizing right now. So what you did, and here's the other part, people can't make you do anything.
Right.
You do what you want to based upon the narrative that you're telling yourself about what they did.
Right.
You're not doing this because somebody, quote, made you. So, when you do that, what happens is that you really, really get to the crux of it. And the good news is that the apology comes across a lot more sincere at that point because I'm making this about me. The offense that I made, this has nothing to do with you. And I will often tell you, sometimes I will say things like, you know what, Sheri, you're 100% correct. Mm-hmm. You'll say something, you'll have a problem with something I did. And when I've recognized that and I'm trying to apologize and I'm trying to communicate sincerity, I will look at you and say, you know what, you're right. I should have did that and I didn't. I apologize. And because I know, what your apology language is, at that particular point, accepting responsibility is me saying I'm sorry.
Right.
For you.
Right. But like we said, typically people get defensive, and so to defend yourself, you're going to point the finger back at the other person.
Right.
And blame them, and that takes away the sincerity of your apology, because now you want to get in another argument about what they did, and you're not focused on you just simply apologizing for your part, what you did.
Absolutely. So guys, we're working our way down through 5 easy steps that you can take to get to a sincere apology. Number 1 is take responsibility. Number 2 is reaffirm boundaries. Number 3 is own up to your part, not theirs. If you're ready for number 4, put number 4 in the chat.
Number 4.
I think this is really good because, so many people, baby, are trying to figure out what that sincere apology looks like, because here's the challenge. I know, and you and I both, we get to coach people who have the same argument for 5 years.
Over again.
It's 10 years into the relationship. Y'all still talking about the same thing. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out at what point does that thing leave the room.
Right.
You get what I mean? That's just crazy. Like, we still at odds with this. And
he didn't really mean it. He said he was sorry.
Right. I'm like, bro, what? So what I want people to do is really learn how to effectively say I'm sorry and make sure it comes across sincerely. So I see the number 4 is coming into the room. I appreciate y'all's participation. Number 4 is apologize for the right reasons. Apologize for the right reasons. When we talk about that, Sheri, what are we talking about? What comes to your mind?
Don't apologize to manipulate the person, to manipulate the situation. You apologizing just to get them to shut up.
Ooh.
Or you're apologizing just so...
Now that will come off as insincere.
Yeah, you're apologizing because you got something planned or something to do. And
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Right. You just want to move past it.
Yeah, my bad.
Right. It's like, what the heck that mean?
My fault.
What that mean?
My fault.
So what do you...
My bad. Hey, look, come on, because we're going to be late. So my bad that I was late picking you up. My fault. Come on, you got to hurry up and get dressed. Come on, let's go.
What?
I said I'm sorry.
No, sorry for what?
Man, we going to be late, man. What you talking about? Sorry for what? I said I was sorry. I was late for picking you up. I'm sorry. Let's go.
That's not a sincere apology.
Y'all hear how that comes across as not sincere at all. What's going on, Linda Lee? Good to see you, girl. Good to see you. Tell Antonio we said hey. But again, guys, you have got to apologize for the right reasons.
Right. Your apology should be because you want to restore the relationship, because you want to come clean. You want to ensure that you have a clean slate, that you're being honest with your spouse or with your partner, that you're trying to heal the relationship.
Yeah.
That's the reason for apologizing. You should not be apologizing for convenience.
Yeah. Because listen, the idea is, look, convenience. Somebody, I just need you up off my property over here. We were talking about boundaries as one of them, or reestablishing your boundaries. One of the reasons why people will apologize for the wrong reason. The reason is, I just need you to quickly get past this so that I can get on with my life.
Right.
That happens a lot, and we were talking about infidelity earlier. Sheri and I both know what that life looks like outside of our relationship, thank God. Prior to our relationship, thank God. But we know what that life looks like. And a lot of times when there's infidelity, oftentimes people will quickly rush you on because they feel guilty about what went down, and they don't want to be continued to be reminded of that. I know many men that I've coached where they say, bro, how long do I have to sit in this before she gets over it? How long, it's been a year and we were at the movies and she just started crying. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she was like, I just, I'm sorry, but, and now it's like the thing happened all over again. And I'm like, Jesus, like I lost a girl's number. I don't talk to this woman. I got changed my job. She ain't on Facebook. Like, why are you here? And that's because she's there. Now, here's the problem. Most men are going to want to rush her along.
Right.
And here's what you don't do, fellas, and listen to me. Fellas, listen to me. You need to sit in that with her. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you why this is important. Because you were the offender.
Right. And
so if she has a moment, You want it to go away quickly? Here's how you do that. Babe, I am so wow. You know what? Bad movie. I am so sorry. You want to leave? What do you need? What do you need from me right now? Because I can just disappear. If you just need to process, I can stay right here. If you want me to be here, where you at? What's going on? I'm turning the whole conversation back on to where she's at.
Right.
I'm not dealing with can I get away?
Why you got an attitude?
What's wrong with you? See, I can't never apologize. Y'all hear that? And before you know it, you're posturing, and now, promise you, she's thinking, well, why he going so hard?
Yeah, he defensive, so he must be up to something again.
Is he still? Now you have ensured
right.
that one moment now becomes an event.
Right.
And it is 2-3 weeks y'all are stuck.
Right.
I'm not interested in that. And so rushing her along does not get her to go along. Sitting there with her gets her to process it, and she will dismiss it.
Right.
And when that happens, at that particular point, the game is over. It changes, and you're able to move on and get what it is that you're trying to do.
Right. And also when you talk about apologize for the right reasons, when you get caught in something,
yeah, man,
make sure your apology is sincere. That you're not just apologizing because you got caught. Because at this point now, it's like, I'm sorry. You're saying you're sorry because you got caught, not because of what you did. And that goes back to you being able to, own up to your part, being able to take responsibility. All of those need to come into that. If you just simply, you get caught and you're like, my bad, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that,
Whatever.
What
is this?
That's the way y'all dudes be doing, I'm sorry.
Amen.
I'm sorry.
Amen. Hey. What you want me to do?
What does that mean? What that?
Hey, man. What you want me to do?
So make sure that you're apologizing for the right reason.
Yeah.
And that means encompassing all these other parts to make sure that the person knows that you're sincere.
Yep.
That it's not just simply apologizing out of convenience because you want to make it go away.
Absolutely. So, guys, we're talking about the top 5 easy steps. There are plenty. We just wanted to identify 5 of them because the truth of the matter is that if you apply these easy steps, I think that you will get to what we are calling a sincere apology. Number 1, we said it was take responsibility. Number 2, we said reaffirm boundaries. Number 3,
own up to your part, not theirs. And number 4 was apologize for the right reasons. And number 5.
If you're ready for number 5, put number 5 in the chat, and we're going to wrap up here in a second, guys. Number 5, drop it in the chat. I want to go back to this last thing that I wanted to add about apologizing for the right reasons. The right reason to apologize is for your own peace of mind, because you want this issue to be settled.
Right.
I do not want this lingering.
Right.
And so I want to craft the most sincerest apology and begin to work on working through this, because oftentimes, and we've gone through this, where I'm saying, I don't want this to ever be the case anymore.
Right.
Oftentimes, what disturbs my peace is that you're not peaceful. What disturbs my peace is the fact that you jacked up in your head.
Right.
And now you're stuck. That disturbs my peace.
Right.
So for me, what do I have to do so that I can get my mind right in order to be able to make sure that I show up and give you what you need as best I can? Because I'm not going to hit you with the highlighter. I got you, baby. And at this particular point, the truth of the matter is that I need to get on and we need to move forward. Right. So we got a bunch of number 5s. You all need to take up acting. That is funny. Okay, listen, we just letting y'all in on how we really have done in the past or how we have coached people. Trust me, we can't make this stuff up. This is so crazy. So number 5 is, now, and this is a little bit different. We may spend a little bit of time kind of explaining this. But guys, to some degree, and I want you to put this in the chat, you need to let go of results to an extent. Number 5 is let go of the results to an extent. Now, it sounds a little oxymoronic because it's like, what do you mean let go of the results? Like, bruh, like you need to apologize. I'm not letting that go.
Well, this kind of goes back to the infidelity piece, like we're saying. So typically what happens when you apologize, we'll deal with infidelity. If I commit infidelity, I apologize, I say, hey, this is what I did. I give all the reasons. I go through, I take responsibility. I do all of that. I cannot expect him to forgive me instantaneous.
Got it.
I have to be willing to give him time.
Got it.
And also to realize that now I violated a trust. There's a piece that may never, or it may take a very long time for me to regain that level of trust that I had before.
Wow.
So things may not go back to normal automatically just because I apologize. I think a lot of times when people apologize, they're expecting, I'm going to apologize. I said I was sorry. Why you ain't over it? Let's move on. You have to allow that person time, their time, to be able to process, for them to be able to forgive, for them to be able to process, especially depending on how deep the hurt is. They need time.
Yes.
Now, if it's something simple, I stepped on your toe and I say, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be holding on to that. You should be able to let that go, and we should be able to go on and go on our merry way. But if I violated a trust in our relationship by committing infidelity, by doing something heinous that truly hurt you, if I, physically abuse you,
right?
There's going to take time. There's healing that has to take time. But I think that
if you get an American Express card without telling me and run it up, and then the bill comes and they want all their money, and I never knew about the Express, like, that's going to take time for me to get past that.
Yes, it did take time. And
I'm not shooting shots.
I know you're not.
I need people to understand that is real.
Right, but it took time for
What's
you to be able to get over that. Right.
What's going on? Our girl Roz just jumped in. Jacksonville, best caregivers.
I think you have to be willing to know that when you do apologize, even in your sincerest apology, don't expect an instantaneous.
Got it.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah.
Life is going back to normal.
Ain't happening.
No, that doesn't happen.
Depending on the offense, that ain't happening.
Right.
And guys, here's the challenge with that, and we're not going to belabor that point, but one of the things I do want to say is this, is that expectation for it to go back often is a sign that it's not finished. Meaning the issue hasn't been really settled.
Right.
With the person, like, so for instance, if you are telling me, listen, you need to move on, I did that, I'm sorry, and we need to move on, that is telling me that you have not settled in you and you're not sincere because you can't sit with me. Here's how you know a person has truly apologized. They can sit with you with the drippings or the remembrance of the offense, and they don't go there with you.
Right. They can empathize.
They can empathize. They can be there in your space. Mm-hmm. They can really share in your experience. Although they've apologized over and over and over again, they'd be willing to do that continuously if that's what it takes to get you where you need to be. And so when we say let go of the results to an extent, what we're doing is we're saying take your hands off of the outcome. Mm-hmm. Take your hands off of, let that play itself out the way it's going to play out. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, what you do, guys, is that you're able to help the other person sit in it as well, mm-hmm. and be able to allow them to organically move on. I came across a statement years ago that a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is that if I push you to really get over something, the truth of the matter is that you're not there. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, what happens is that that's not real.
Right.
And I've seen where people have had this boomerang or rebound effect because they thought that the person was sincere, when truthfully the person who was sincere was never made to really sit and process what happened and what that went through. And so as a result of that sincerity wasn't real. They manufactured some sincerity because you wasn't really willing to let them sit with you and work through that. Does that make sense?
Right. And one thing, and this is a bonus, I guess, I want to add to this. In order to apologize sincerely, you have to be able to empathize or feel the other person's pain. In the sense, you have to put yourself in their shoes. And so if you've done something to somebody, you need to put yourself in their shoes and be like, how would I feel if somebody did that to me? How would that make me feel? And if it would make me feel horrible, I have to realize that that's probably how they're feeling. And so when I apologize, I'm apologizing from that place, knowing that I know that this was painful. I know that this was hurtful to you, and I apologize for that. And realize that sometimes it's going to take time.
Yep.
It's going to take a person time to heal. But if you are so focused on, I just want to apologize, I want to just get this out and get it over with and let's move on, you're not empathizing with them with where they are, and you're not recognizing the pain that you've caused them. You're not recognizing the hurt that you've caused them. But when you can do that, when you can put yourself in their shoes, when you can try to connect to what they're going through from that being done to them by looking at it and say, if somebody did this to me, how would I feel?
Yeah.
And now there are some things for some people, it's like, well, if somebody did that to me, I wouldn't trip off it, I'd be fine. But you got to know who you're dealing with and know that, okay, well, I know for them.
Yeah. That's not the case.
That hurt them.
Yeah. And I think the better way to do that is, if I were you, how would I feel?
Right.
Not if it were me.
Right. If I were you.
If I were you, because I know you.
Right.
I know how your brain works. We've been in a relationship a long time. I understand. Oh no, she's not moving past this easily. She's not. So let me sit there with her in it.
Right.
Guys, I hope this has helped you. Today we've been talking about how to apologize more sincerely. 5 easy steps in order to get there. I appreciate everybody for jumping on. We're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Breakfast with the Brookses. It's just our way of being able just to add some value to relationships and really kind of share tips and strategies on how to navigate them a little bit more effectively. We do that every day, almost every day, in our MAPS Relationship Academy. There are group coaching environments that we foster for couples, parents. We have one for singles who really are trying to work on their best self. We have an individual men and women's room, all designed to help people grow their relationships intentionally. And the reason why I think that's so important for us is that when you've gone through what we've gone through and you've screwed it up royally, and then you figured out how to fix it for you, it makes you want to go run tell that.
Right.
And so that's our option, our opportunity to help navigate. As coaches, that's what we do. If you guys want to know more about that, just simply go to www.GlennPBrooksJr.com. Put that in the chat. I don't know if it'll go in with your phone, if YouTube is acting funny lately where they wasn't allowing you to put chats in. Absolutely amazing. Kofi, did this help you? All the way in the Midwest. Did this help you? Hey, Tiffany. Good to see you. Good to see you. Nikkei said, let go of the results. I know that's right, Nikkei. Linda Lee, it's good to have you on. Great seeing you. Roz, it looks like Roz jumped in as well. Teresa, good to have everybody in. Latanya Best, good to have you along for the ride. Guys, we'll see you all next week, 8 a.m., Breakfast with the Brookses, every Saturday morning, live right here on YouTube. And because we all need some help. That's just why we do what we do.
That's why we do what we do.
That's why we do what we do. Y'all have an amazing Saturday.
Y'all have a great Saturday.
Y'all be good. We'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.